Thanks, Brother Ashraf. My next question, can you comment on what is the difference between education versus enlightenment? What is the extent to which truth on the planet, do educational institutions teach truth? And how are people's learning? Are they exposed to truth? And what are the roles of truth teachers on the planet and the value of truth? And lastly, why are the society the way it is? And how can we go from fourth dimension to fifth dimension? Thanks, brother.
Thank you as well, Maz, for that question, a good question, that currently our educational systems operate in the way that they do, and they're not really supporting human beings to live from a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness. And, you're asking for my comment on the educational system and the teaching that is shared on the planet at this particular time, and how does that influence people and how they live. Yes, so there's a very big difference to me between education and enlightenment. And you've correctly noted that what we receive today is an education that does not support our enlightenment, and it doesn't support human beings in living at a higher level of awareness and consciousness. And this is global, generally speaking, that in our institutions of learning, whether they are schools, whether they are primary or high, or secondary schools, or even tertiary levels of education, universities, colleges, oftentimes even in our own homes, and in religious institutions as well, there is no real enlightenment education, if we can call it that. The education that we've received and we are receiving is largely a schooling. It's not really an education. Education, I think, comes from the French word educare, which means to bring out, to draw out, in what we're talking about is to support people to be more the spiritual, creative beings that they are, to operate more multidimensionally beyond the limited ego, to function, as I've explained it before, from a higher level of human functioning, or what I would call human excellence. There is no real education to support human excellence, for human beings to actually operate and live in a way that we are talking about here, going beyond the beggar into the believer, going beyond the addict to the adult, going beyond the victim into the victor. There's no such education that actually supports the personal transformation, personal empowerment, spiritual empowerment, personal development, life enrichment. There's no focus on that, really speaking. And so, yes, a lot of the education that we get is really a schooling, and is telling us how to achieve competencies, how to count, or what facts are true in the world, or what is factual in the world, or how to work with numbers, and how to take a case through a court system if you're a lawyer, how to suture a wound if you're a medical doctor, how to do an operation if you're a surgeon, and how to handle electricity if you're an electrician. These are all schooling competencies, how to operate in the world in terms of the fourth dimensional functioning of the world. So yes, people get sick, so they go to a doctor. The doctor will attend to them using force and control, usually allopathic medicine and surgery. And yes, people require their devices fixed, so you got technicians, and all these things that we get trained on, how to cook and what to cook, baking. There's all these sort of things. You can learn about all these kind of how to arrange flowers, how to drive, how to drive. So a lot of our education, our learning is around fourth-dimensional living. The life of this world, of what to do and how to do it, is largely about behavior and supporting this world continue. For example, in the medical system, the legal system, the educational system, it's just keeping the systems of this world going, but keeping it going from the same level of power, or rather powerlessness, that it's going on at. So yes, there is an issue. If we are looking at it from a deeper, more all-encompassing way, that human beings are capable of more. There are potentials for us to be and become. There is for us to live and experience. However, possibilities, we are living limited and constricted lives. We are not even coming anywhere close to knowing who we are, what we can be. We're not developing and actualizing our potentials. We're not actually materializing our possibilities. We're living without evolving to a more humane society, or more evolved humanity. And so this explains why there's so many problems and diseases in individuals' lives, in relationships between people, including couples, families, children, and the difficulties that goes on in society. Society, is operating largely unconsciously, and there's no real enlightenment as to who you are, what you are, where you are, what's going on here. That you're an imaginal being, that you can go beyond unconscious living and subconscious patterns, and you can become more conscious and be more who you really are, to experience a greater level of security. Because only secure people, only conscious people can experience being secure. Only conscious people can experience being selfful, applying themselves in their life, nurturing and nourishing themselves, their bodies and their lives, and giving and receiving, caring with others. And only if you are that secure, selfful person can then you go into creating what you want to have the experience of. Or in the old language, prayer, you can begin to pray for what you want to be, what you want to become, what you want to live, what you want to experience that is more enjoyable, more meaningful. And as I was saying in the last response to you, that this is not about people, things and experiences of this world, but rather it's about us in this world, and how people, things and experiences support the quality of our living. So it's not about the money, it's what the money is for. It's not about the partner, it's what the partner is for. It's not about the job, it's what the job is for. And what that means basically is that the job supports us in expressing ourselves and enjoying our lives in fulfillment. And so is the partner, that we can be with partners that we enjoy being with and express ourselves and enjoy their expression and have enjoyment and fulfillment in life. And jobs, partners and money. It's not about the money and just acquiring more money. It's about what money supports us, what values that are supported through having money. And it's not just about doing this and doing that for the money, or doing this and do that for some purpose, but to really live life enjoying applying ourselves, the joy of applying ourselves. So thank you as well for that question, giving me an opportunity to highlight the current situation globally that has been on the planet for centuries and millennia. And there have been great teachers, masters, prophets and messengers that have brought onto the planet at different times truth, shared truth, that there is a way of observing the way things are, the nature of truth, the nature of God, the nature of reality, the divine reality, and that there really is only God, that this world doesn't really exist as God does exist, that everything in creation depends on God, but God depends on nothing, and our existence is only because God is all great, all gracious. And there is for us not only our existence and our continued existence, but there is for us a quality of existence, that God is not only interested in our aliveness and maintaining our aliveness, but the quality of our life and aliveness and living. And this sadly is not being addressed and we just have a human population on the planet maintaining and perpetuating unconsciousness and subconsciousness. But as I said, there is truth teachers and truth teachings, and people are opening up to becoming more aware of truth and living truthfully. So thank you as well for that question. That was great as well.